Up next on Canna Cribs.
I think growing a weed would be easy. It's not.
We changed the lives of, I have total goosebumps right now talking about this. We have changed the lives of so many people here.
We're at Flora Farms in Missouri, the largest cannabis cultivator in the state. Let's head inside.
I grew up on a 750-acre farm. I never really liked it that much. I didn't like getting up early, but I learned a lot of good things. Learned how to work hard and a lot of common sense from being around equipment and animals and plants. I got out of farming and I found out there are easier things to do than putting up hay and driving a tractor. And then 50 years later, now I'm back in it.
I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but it did happen, something like that. Some friends of ours, including Daryl, are involved in a cannabis project in Oklahoma. When Missouri voters voted for medical marijuana, I think in 2018, they recommended we look at it over here, and it just kind of left from there.
4 years from 2018, Missouri now passed another constitutional amendment to make it adult use legal.
And that's just changed everything. A world that used to have 200,000 customers and now probably has 2 million.
And it happened almost overnight. We're selling a little more than 3 times the pounds that we were before in 2022.
And that's our big challenge right now. The supply and demand price curve has moved all over the place. It's moved again. And now we have to adjust to a world where supply is going to be a little short, and that's why we're sitting in this soon-to-be new building.
This building that you're seeing here, it's 60,000 square feet, which is the same size as that building down the far end. And our first building was just a little smaller, but it roughly 180,000 square feet total. Well, once this building is done, we will have over $40 million of capital invested in these buildings, our other dispensaries. We have a manufacturing license. This business is really expensive and a very hard business. I've been in a lot of businesses in my background. This might be the hardest thing I've ever done. Late last year, Mark Henry and I were talking. I said, I think we really need to get access to a sounding board of consultants. Canna Cribs came up as one of the prospects. So far, it's been going great. Bud, our head grower, is looking forward to the advice and the synergies that can come from talking to somebody that sees a lot of grow operations across the United States.
We've done multiple Zoom meetings with the Canna Cribs consulting team, and they work one-on-one, they email, they text, they really, really are there to kind of help you out. It's not about just trying to get the most information out of someone. It's what are your problems? What can I really help you with? And they're always there, it seems like, to really get to us. And at any point, we can call and have a meeting even the same day. Sometimes even right away. They'll say, "Oh, jump on it. Let's get some video. Let's get this fixed." So that's really honestly been very helpful. So Phil and Juan and all the guys over there have been really, really helpful to us.
One of the reasons we're here in the first place is when the application process started several years ago with Missouri, one of the goals was to try to help some of the areas of the state that had high unemployment, were struggling, and so that's why we're here. There's about 200 people that work here now.
We think of all of our employees as part of our family. Carla came up with this name, Flora Fam, which we think of everybody as family. We love all of them. But blood relatives, we have several of those in this business. A lot of joys with that, occasionally not, but mostly joy, and it's a good thing.
Well, Daryl, thank you so much for inviting us here. I can't wait to see what's through those doors.
Well, we'd love to show you.
So Carla, you're the marketing director of Flora Farms, and just so the people out there know, this episode wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Carla.
Absolutely. I have been really fighting for this for months and months. Huge fan of you guys. Loved when you came and visited us in October and just knew we were meant to work together and meant to do something. And it's amazing that you get to show our story to the nation and the world.
So tell us, how did Flora Farms get started, the whole brand, everything?
So this has been a long time in coming. You know, my dad, Daryl Deal, the CEO, he and a great group of his friends got together to want to start this company. But they needed some people to come on and help them write the applications, which if you don't understand what that's like to write an application to get a license for cannabis, at least in Missouri, it's like writing a million essays from high school. It's so research-based, detailed, so they needed a writer. I am a classically trained writer. I have my grad degree in creative writing. I've been writing for a decade. And so my dad naturally thought that my sister and I together, which were great balances of each other, coming on to help write those applications and being a part of that. So, I came on thinking, okay, this is a contract job I'm doing like all the other freelance writing jobs I do. Little did I know, 3 years later, this is my entire life now.
So the Flora Farms brand, I mean, you're building it. What does it mean for both the company and the customers? Like, what is its design really?
So I've always thought of us as the people's cultivator. And what I mean by that is that we serve the greatest good of the people of Missouri. We came in, we are now the largest in the state. When we first began, our mission was to grow the most diverse strains with the most diverse terpene and THC percentages to meet the needs of a medical community. A lot of the people that we serve in our dispensaries, they're not seeking the highest high. They need to know that they can feel better. And we provide that to them at whatever level they need that at. So, from a diversity of strains and genetics and their effects to our price points, I feel like we are the most affordable and accessible to the most people in Missouri. And that's directly reflected of where we are. The state of Missouri did a really great job incentivizing people to put their organizations and their brands and their cultivations and their grows in certain parts of our state that could really use the economic boost and everything and the employment and everything that came from that. I feel like we came in here and we were incentivized to come in this area. We thought it might be a deterrent. It's not. It has been the biggest blessing because of the people that we attract that work here. We're humble. We have a lot of humility. We came in and one single person in this organization knew what they were doing, and that's Mark Budemeyer. The rest of us have been figuring it out, and that's part of our charm. That's the Flora Farms way.
Yeah, it's like Missouri bred and grown.
Oh, yes, and that's something I'm so proud of too, because there really are, and I understand this is the growth and the development of a company, and I get that, but there are a lot of multi-state operators who come in, and that's great, but we're not. We are Missouri owned, we are Missouri born and bred and raised. Super proud of that.
So the whole working with your dad thing, I know what that's like, but what's it like working with your dad building this cannabis brand?
So my whole life, I've known he's a high-powered guy doing amazing things, and I've also known that people have always really liked working for him, but I never really knew for sure what that meant or what that looked like. So, as much of a pain as he is to me, I do have to give him a heck of a lot of credit because he is killing it as the CEO here. People love him. He comes in here, just watching him take incredibly complex things and boil it down to a very simple task for groups and departments. There's nothing he can't do here. We've always been super tight, but it is on a whole nother level now. And so to be able to share in that with him has been one of my favorite things I've ever done.
And I just want to tell the viewers to stick around to the end of the episode where I think we're going to try and do a whole Flora Farms sing-along with that country star, Casey Rausch.
Heck yeah, she's amazing.
There was a time my lips were sealed about something I do. Society would punish me and judge everything that I do. I tried to live authentically, but the man and his upper...
So John, I heard that you're kind of managing the mothers, the props, some of the genetic side. So what's your role here at Flora Farms?
Definitely propagation manager, mother care.
Yeah, so everything involved in plants getting to the bedrooms.
Yep. Anything before bedroom.
Got it. Okay. So, you guys have 2 rooms right now where you're doing mothers, from what I understand, and some propagation.
Yes. So we do have 2 mom rooms. We have a primary and a backup. So we do about a 4 to 6 month rotation on our moms. Everything grows out at about 6 months. We kill it and then bring in a new mom, rotate out young
Got
from
it.
there.
So how many moms do you guys currently have like right now, and how many cultivars does that represent?
We currently have about 75 to 80 moms in our main mom room. That just got cut down from our large pheno hunt. We had probably close to 250 plants stuffed into that one mom room doing that massive pheno hunt.
Got it. And how many strains does that represent?
75 strains in total.
Wow, that's quite a bit. So, I mean, is that how many strains are in production right now?
We got 42 strains in regular production, and then we're adding roughly 30 new strains with the pheno hunt that we just got done with.
So let's chat about that pheno hunt. What was that like?
It was massive. We popped roughly 200 seeds in the beginning. We've gotten it all the way down to about 30 in the end. We'll take those 30, add those to the 42 classic genetics that we have in-house, and hopefully bring Missouri some really good weed for the recreational market.
So John, walk us through the cloning process here at Flora Farms. I want like a step-by-step.
So you come in, fresh gloves, you pull up directly to one of the mother plants. We'll take a fresh cup of Clonex cloning gel, take a fresh pair of snips out of our Virkon dip. That just helps us eliminate any kind of bacteria, any kind of viruses that we know in the cannabis industry runs rampant.
Yeah.
So we take those cuts directly from our mom, and those go directly into a block. There's no cup in the middle. We go, we cherry pick our clones individually from the mom, right into Rockwool cubes. From the Rockwool cubes, they go into the trays of 50.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of people know about the Virkon dip because, you know, HLV is pretty rampant.
Yep.
Not a lot of people even know that you can get HLV, that virus, from seeds even.
Yes.
So if you're growing out and phenotyping, that's a big issue. So
Yeah, a lot
Virkon
of
dip,
testing.
very cool for those of you who don't know about it, okay? So John, you spend a lot of time curating these genetics. So I want to ask you, what are some of your favorite genetics?
For me, it's definitely blood orange sorbet. It's got the look, it's got the smell, it's got the taste. Definitely GMO. GMO, we won this year for best cultivar. Bubba Fett as well for last year. We won best in the industry for that strain.
So John, I think naturally next up is veg, huh? I gotta go see Bud.
One of my other favorite spots.
Our CannaCribs team tours some of the best cannabis cultivation facilities in the world, learning the best products, techniques, and methodologies. Did you also know that we help design and build the most productive commercial cannabis facilities? If you need help building, retrofitting, or optimizing your operation, fill out the form in the description below to work with the world-class professionals and scientists at CannaCribs Consulting, bringing you the best practices of the most renowned farms.
And that's something unique that I really never thought about before. I owned a trucking company. My employees worked for me not because they loved trucking, they just wanted a job. In this industry, they loved the job, so we were able to attract a lot of people.
So Bud, I was like, so I'm gonna go chat with the guy named Bud who like runs the facility. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know if that was, you know, just a real name or a fake name, but it's your true name. So tell us, you know, what you do here at Flora Farms.
Okay. So my name is Mark Buddemeyer. I go by Bud. It's a pretty fitting name. Turns out what Buddemeyer is actually, it's German for wetland farmer. So hydro farmers by name, by history, just kind of fits us, and it ends up actually working out pretty well for me here in the cannabis industry.
Yeah, pretty fitting name for sure. Well, you know this facility probably better than almost anyone. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how these plants go from prop to veg and like how you guys run veg at Flora Farms?
Okay. So we have our clones. They spend about 10 to 15 days in their clone domes, and once we transplant them, everything is done in Rockwool here. So we will transplant one room at a time, so that way we can kind of keep that cycle and that rhythm going. We'll compress them, and they stay compressed, transplanted for about a week to 10 days at the most.
And by compressed, you mean like they're just like hugging each other, high density.
Yeah, very, very high density footprint. We can keep they keep the water for about 7 days that way, and plus it saves us some space. So they spend their first week all butted up next to each other, compressed, and about 7 days later, we end up spreading them out into our veg room, put the drippers into them, get them spaced out so that way we can really start growing and training our plants.
Got it. So when you're actually transplanting, that looks like a 6 by 6 by 4 inch block, right?
Yes.
That you're transplanting into. You put like what looks like a block cover on it. And were you saying you don't even have to water them for like the first 7 days? You can just kind of set it and forget it. 7 days.
And that is the importance of it. Is we soak the blocks with a 5.5 pH, so that way it doesn't bring it up into a dangerous position. That is one thing with rock wool. The first time you soak them, the pH rises, so you have to kind of compensate for that and run a lower pH. We tend to run a 5.5 pH and about a 2.8 EC to a 3.0 EC. The block cover goes over it. That's important for algae growth, but it keeps that moisture in the block for days. So as soon as that top part of it dries off, the rock wool can actually become hydrophobic and actually wick water away. So then you're actually creating a problem for yourself if you don't keep on top of it.
Got it. Cool little trick.
Yeah.
So Bud, you mentioned topping at day 7. Do you guys top any other times in veg?
We do. We try to get all of our topping done actually in veg, so there's not anything for us to really do any more training in the flowering rooms. So at day 7, after they've been spread out, we do their first topping. And then at the end of the next week, day 14, we tend to do their second topping. And then if opportunity does afford it, we can actually get a third topping in the veg room. So we have 16 to 24 tops usually at least before they go into a flower room. That allows us to really fill the canopy with minimal work in the flower rooms.
Got it. So I noticed, the high density, you don't even have to water them. But then you move them over to the more spread out part of veg. And I noticed you guys looks like you have automated drip systems that automate the watering, I'm guessing?
Yes. Yeah. So we use Netafim pressure compensating drippers. The Netafim drip lines, we're able to consistently give water from irrigation side of the room all the way to the far plants. So the Netafim drippers, they're a third of a gallon per hour. So we know exactly what we're feeding them. If we feed them for 1 minute, that one dripper gives it 19.8 milliliters. So we can really, really measure out our rooms, and we even test it. We'll put a cup right by where the irrigation source is, and we'll go 60, 70 feet across the room and put a cup there. Run the irrigation for 10, 15 minutes, and when you pull it out to measure both of those cups, there's minimal difference, even down to less than a milliliter difference. So that is very important for us to keep all these plants fed the right way.
So Bud, what system actually automates all the irrigation here?
Fortunate thing, so we use our Netaflex 3G for it. There's a lot of parameters that it can handle for us. Between us filling our batch tanks, running concentrate, we have to fill up to 9,000 gallons per day in 9 different tanks. So it's 1,000 gallons per tank, so time is definitely important to us when we're filling that. So the Netaflex really allows us to get all of our nutrients mixed in the amount of time we need to. It does it fast. We can take constant readings while it's actually filling the tanks. Another great thing about it is it's got float switches. Everyone that's been in the cannabis industry for a little bit of time even has overfilled a bucket, overfilled an irrigation tank at one point. It's not a fun feeling whenever you come around the corner and you see water running across the floor and you've realized, I didn't turn that tank off.
You guys must use a lot of water at this facility. Like how much gallons per day are you guys feeding these plants?
So per day, every room consumes between 6,000 and 1,000 gallons of water between their food, so they're very hungry, which also means that we have to have a substantial water source. We use a Hyperlogic system. It's an RO system that's able to produce over 14,000 gallons in a 24-hour period. We did choose that system because it really did have a low byproduct, so the water that it's filtering out, you're not having a whole lot of waste byproduct with it as well, which is typical for a lot of systems. So the Hyperlogic system works really well for us filtering out our well water. We have around 5,000 gallons of treated RO water on hand at all times, plus our 18 1,000 gallon tanks for all of our nuded water as well. We have our own handheld tools to check our sensors and everything, but we also do check it against the Hyperlogic. It's able to monitor the the incoming temperature of our well water, which it can drop way down, gives you warnings if something's out of range. So if your pressure's gotten too high or if your pressure's gotten too low, those are things that are all able to monitor without us having to have somebody on it at all times. We can pull that record, an alarm history, and even actually have it sent to our phones so that way someone can be alerted to it if they're not there.
Got it. How many people you have working in the veg area at Flora Farms?
So we have 3 people working in each veg room specifically. Same with the mother rooms. Our flower rooms have 2 people assigned to them, but the veg rooms, we know that there's never any time to slack on these because you can't make it up later on.
Got it. How many square feet are these bedrooms about?
They're approximately 4,000 square feet on each bedroom. So we've got 2 of those and then 2 mother rooms as well. So we're looking at close to 16,000 square feet just in veg space alone, actually, in this building.
Well, wow, that's a lot of room. But I know you got more room in flower, so let's go check that out, huh?
I'm ready.
Mathen, Mark's son-in-law, during COVID lost his job in Chicago, and he just kind of showed up and started doing things for us, and he's grown very well within the company. And then along the way, Mark's daughter, Mary Kate, she said, "Hey, I'm quitting my job. You got anything for me to do?" Now she's running all of our dispensaries.
So I'm with Molly and Jess in one of the flower rooms here at Flora Farms, and I can see these plants have been tended to quite a bit. You guys definitely do some like plucking of leaves, some manicuring. Let's go over how you guys do that here.
Well, the first defoliation that we do, we take all of the fan leaves pretty much up to the very top of the plant. So then all the rest of it can catch up, because otherwise they would just be very overgrown and bushy. So that's the first process. But then after that, within a week or so, we do another what's called a softball size up trim, where we take nodes from the base of every plant that within like the size of a softball at the base of the plant, just so then it doesn't get congested, and then the rest of the nodes that are actually reaching the light can catch up and it's not taking energy from the rest of the plant. So we trim all that out of each plant.
And what week is that usually happening?
Within the first week or 2 of flower.
Got it. And once you get past week 2 or 3, are you still doing anything else to the
Yeah,
plants?
we will remove some leaves as needed. We'll do a second defol where we take more of like the bottom leaves on each of the plant. And we also do what's called an up trimming or lollipopping on them, where we take nodes from the single branches all the way up to try to get the canopy up higher, or if the branches can't quite reach or if they're not strong enough, then we'll actually trim them out, and that would be more up trimming versus lollipopping.
Got it. Okay.
So we do that as needed throughout the grow.
So a full day to just like make this room totally set up. And at that point, are you guys turning the plants into the flowering cycle? Like, what are you guys doing, Jess?
No, we usually are in the veg for about 4 to 6 days, depending on what's going on before we flip the flower.
Got it. Okay. So during that time, do you guys have the light intensity at 100% or no?
No, we're about 60%.
Okay. So if it's at 60%, does that like change slowly over time?
Yes, we do about a 5% increase every 3 days.
Got it. Until you get to about 100%?
Yes, until we get to 100%.
Got it. So let's talk about feeding these plants. I know that when they came out of veg, they get fed around a 3.0 EC. Is that what they get fed here when they're in flower?
Typically we're at a 3.2 or 3.3 EC.
Got it.
While they're in flower.
And is that for the entire flower schedule, or does it taper off?
It tapers off by the last 2 weeks of our flower cycle. We'll taper it off just down to 3.0.
Got it. Okay,
EC.
not too much of a dip.
No, not too
Got
much.
it. So are you guys like measuring certain things? Like rock wool is a substrate that's known for being like, you know, if it's not dialed in, then your plants could get screwed pretty quickly, right?
Yes.
So how do you guys monitor that?
We use what's called Solus. We have moisture readers that we stab into the side of the blocks before and after each feed throughout the day to try to get the levels on each of them. It has the salt levels or the nutrients in the block, the temperature of the block, and also the moisture levels. So then we can base what we need to do for changing feedings. And typically we want our blocks to be sitting between 72 to 75 or 76 degrees. We don't want them to be running too hot, and the moisture levels depend on where we are at in flower too. They're higher. We have higher levels of moisture in earlier stages, but then later on they dry back a little bit, so the levels aren't as high.
Yeah, like how many strains do you usually have in any one flowering room?
We usually have about 6 strains in each room. We occasionally have different phenos, so it's the same strain, just a different phenotype.
Yeah. I heard that you guys have like some unique strains that are to Flora Farms that you guys have like, I guess, bred here.
Yes, we do. We have Sap, we have Cobalt Fire, we have a strain called Bubba Fett that we've won an award for.
Silver Ghost.
Oh, Silver Ghost is another one that we have Flora exclusive.
So if people in stores, maybe they try those out, they can't get them anywhere else.
Nope, can't get them anywhere else, just Flora Farms.
Grown by these two beautiful ladies.
Could be.
Could be.
You guys know of these guys, Ashton and Steve?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. Very familiar with those
Yeah, very
guys.
familiar.
Oh, they are? Do they have a good reputation or bad reputation here?
I guess you'll find out.
Okay. Next up, curing and drying. Here I come.
One thing about Missouri, we're surrounded by a lot of states that don't have either medical or adult use. So we're getting a lot of out-of-state people buying in Missouri.
So I'm here with Ashton and Steve. And Ashton and Steve, why don't you guys tell me exactly what your roles are here at Flora Farms?
Sure. I see a lot of the post-harvest processes. So once we start chopping down the plants, we'll see it through the dry, the cure, trimming, bucking, and basically get things ready in test lots for logistics.
Got it. So you're like the manager. You oversee all of that.
I look at a lot of spreadsheets. Yes.
Got it. Got it. And you, Steve?
I just manage everything from when the plants are cut. So once they're cut, they go into one of our cure rooms, one of the dry down rooms, and then I'll manage the crew that's going to bucket and the plants during that 10-day period that we drive down.
Got it. So like, I just left the flowering room. Let's say those plants are ready to go. Let's talk about the relative humidity. Let's talk about the temperature. Because like, look, Steve, I feel like I just like met you and took one look at you. I was like, this guy's a connoisseur.
I appreciate it, man.
So tell us about your craft.
All right, so roughly whenever we chop those plants, before they hit the room, I'll come in and I'll drop the humidity down to about 45%. And I'll drop the temperature down to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And so once the plants start coming in, that humidity is going to start to raise pretty rapidly. And once I see that humidity hit a certain point, I'll switch to another room. So that will give the dehudes a little bit time to work and start to pull that water out while I'm filling the other room partially. And I'll switch back to that room. So that'll give me a little bit of a window to start pulling water out before I overload it with too much humidity. Then once the room is finally filled, it'll be at about 58 to 60% humidity. And that's about top where we want it. And that's about 900 plants split between 2 rooms. Next 10 days, we will slowly start to increase that humidity after we get it down to about 47%. That's my ideal goal. Once that room hits about 47%, I'll slowly start to bring it back up, slowly start to turn fans off and increase the humidity on the dehudes. And then once I reach a certain point at about, it'll be 55 to 57% humidity, the entire room will be shut off, all the fans will be dead, and all the dehudes will be dead. And we'll be sitting roughly about 63 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where I'd like to hold, and 57% humidity.
Got it. Okay.
Ideally.
And what day are we at usually at that point?
That's roughly about 9-10 days into the process.
Got it. And they're usually hanging out in there for how long? About 10 days?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. So Ashton, you got this gizmo over here. And I've heard of these, have not seen one in real life, but what is this thing?
Yeah, we're actually really happy that Twister wanted us to test out their new Cure Puck, is what they're calling it. And it's got a lot of different metrics. It's got humidity, temperature. It has a gas sensor that we're still playing with, and it can kind of auto or manual burp. Right now we have her set up in a commander tub, but it really opens up a wide range of different containers that we could cure in, because since it burps electronically, we don't necessarily have to have the lid since it's pulling the gases out through a pump.
Wow. So this thing, like, obviously these tubs are super popular. Right. You just like drill a hole in it, or what do you do?
Yeah, actually it took me less than 2 minutes. It took me longer to find a 2.5-inch hole saw than it did for to drill a hole. So yeah, 2.5 inch, popped a hole in it, has a chuck on the back, screwed it back in. It was really plug and play. I mean, it was set up and ready to go. Like, we've had to do basically nothing to it, and the thing's doing its job for us.
Dude, I can just imagine like taking down, a couple 100 pounds, filling these up, turning them on, walking away, coming back
dream.
like
Yeah.
a week later. Oh yeah, everything's
It's just
perfect.
done.
Yeah.
It has different alerts that it can send to you. We're still playing with it right now. Hopefully we can get some of those settings, getting working to where like it can give you email notifications as to what's going on in case there was any kind of error that's going on in the room.
This is that little sensor, huh?
Yeah, that's part of the pump.
Smells like weed.
So
For sure. That is rad. So you get them bucked, you get them into totes like this. What's next?
after they're toted, we go through the twister machine. We like to use this pre-cure process. Right after bucking down the room, we like to get off any kind of extra leaf that we can for when we're curing. We like it to smell like bud. We don't like it to smell like leaf. Get any of that extra chlorophyll off. And it gives it a nice light pre-trim. So we're not finished trimming it. We do like to hand trim at the end of it, but we do get a nice quick trim so that when we are curing the product, it smells like pot.
Got it.
Through this machine, they can put in roughly 8 to 10 pounds at a time. They run it for about 8 to 10 minutes. So there's a little bit of transition time once you're getting the product out and ready to go, but I mean, it can really crank through the weight and get it ready to be curing. Trim room's very important. That is really our main line of defense for quality control. Inside that room, every nug that's gonna make it in somebody's bag gets touched by a pair of hands. So that's a big part of our quality control standards.
Wow.
So.
And trimming is, as most of you guys probably know, it's not necessarily the easiest or the least tedious job ever.
No.
Right.
So what are they doing in there? I mean, are they like watching TV?
We play a lot of different types of music. About every few hours, we let different people pick different types of music, and jam out, keep a lively attitude. We like to have a lot of good fun every day, but we also like to keep a good product coming out. So that's the big overall goal is keep a good attitude, keep good morale, but also keep quality product coming out.
Does anyone ever put on
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
They put on everything.
Everything from whale sounds to anything you can imagine.
Whale sounds.
Yes, sir. We have a good time here.
I have a whale joke for you.
Yes, sir.
So, 2 whales are sitting in a bar. One whale turns to the other whale and goes, and the other whale turns to me and goes, dude, Jerry, you are So Ashton, now we're in this very quiet, kind of beautifully serene room full of weed.
Yeah.
This is the curing room?
This is in fact.
So have you perfected the cure, at least for Flora Farms?
Absolutely. We like to cure in these 5-pound bags. We generally hang out in there about 21 days. Inside of it, we have 5 pounds of weed. We also like to keep the Integra Boost Packs. We do a couple different relative humidities. We have both 55% and 62%. One of my favorite things about Integra is that it's a 2-way relative humidity packet. So if the humidity is too high inside that 5-pound bag, it'll bring the humidity down to that 62. And if we are not quite there because we're sucking too much moisture out of the air, it'll also make sure that inside that bag stays all the way up at 62%. So it works both directions.
Got it. So you know that humidity will be at 62.
Right. Yeah. Which that's the consistency that we're after. Also in our 8 packages, once we have everything ready to go to the customer, we also like to put in little Integra Boost package. That way, no matter how long it has to take from getting from our facility into the customer's hands, we're making sure to keep that bud exactly where it left the farm at.
Well, Ashton, I think it's time for me to make it out of this beautiful room and into the chaos again.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you. So I'm here with William and Sean at Flora Farms, and now we're in this whole post harvest kind of packaging, kind of inventory kind of room. You guys manage quite a few things related to that. So let's start off with William, because you know, you have a really interesting kind of side name, the Hybrarian.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lucky to have it.
So how exactly did you get that name?
Well, we started with it being the Weed Library, and then it became the Hybrary, and now it's, I'm just the lucky guy that gets to sit in there, I guess. So.
Got it. Did you get a degree in Hybrarianism?
I need one.
So I'm the manager of the logistics department. We do everything as far as like after it's finished, post harvest basically. So everything from the testing, when Will takes over from the testing, we do that, and then the little quarantine area that it goes into while we're waiting for the results. After that, we put it on the tables for all our wonderful packagers to go to town with, and they just have all the fun in the world. So testing, packaging, and then we get it ready for shipment and order fulfillment after that.
So how does everything from the curing, drying, trimming come to you, and what do you do with it?
Once it comes in, they put it in 15-pound lots, and they bring those lots to us. We meet with testers twice a week, and they pull 5% out of each lot, and then that gives us a range of the terps and the THC for each individual strain, and we separate it and pass it off to Sean, and he takes it the rest of the way from there.
Got it. So like, well, I guess for you, those 15-pound lots, they probably have to hang out for a certain amount of time because they have to pass, right?
You bet. It's about a week we have to wait for the test to come back. And usually GPA, Green Precision Analytics, is the best to get the numbers to us really fast. So
during that time, it's kind of curing as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, another cool thing you told me is there's 40. You guys have done like kind of some testing with curing. So like after it has like the 8 to 10 days of what I would call drying, you know, with Ashton and Steve and everything like that, then they move it into those big lots. It's kind of curing in those bags. And you guys cured as long as 40 days and as short as 20. And you've said that you've done testing in between, and tell us what your results are.
Yeah, so we've tested it in like a week in, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we tried it all the way up to like 44 days, I think was the longest cure that we took some of them, just to see what would happen as far as like, we gotta have the data, right? More data you can have, the better you can understand your science. So we found after 21 days, basically your numbers kind of peak over, and you can get a little bit more gains, but the time that it takes to wait for those numbers is not worth it to keep it from our customers. So this is a growth market. Missouri is just going crazy right now. It's so much fun to be here for that. But that means we need to get as much on the table for our customers to be able to get their medicine, to get what they need when they need it. So we've been playing with those numbers and bringing it down to what's acceptable. It's not hurting the plant, but it's still getting that product to the customer as fast as we can. So 21 days seems to be working, makes it shelf stable. We get our moisture percentage where we need it, and it doesn't seem to diminish our returns after that. So that's pretty cool.
So basically your cannabinoid testing, terpene testing is basically the same at 21 days as it is at 40 days.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
Yo guys, thanks for the information. This has been tons of fun hanging out.
Absolutely.
I think it's on to the next.
Awesome, man.
Heck yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Yes. And here's my grandfather's hat that he used to wear every day of his life. I just wanted to bring this and show it. There's not many people that wore a John Deere straw hat, and this is what he wore every day.
Nice. A family heirloom.
Yes.
Now a Flora heirloom.
A Flora. It's made it full circle.
About something I do. Society would punish me and judge